We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you need that little bit of extra content to get you through the day, through the night, well, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button. Smash it if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends, your significant other, your psychiatrist, your priest, your cat, and your dog. Welcome into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kirk Gowdy Avenue. Yes, I'm crazy. It's Friday, 1:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 Central Time, 10:30 in the morning Pacific Time. What are you doing, Greg? Why are you having a live show? I warned you. You need to subscribe to the channel to get notified. You need to follow us at Flag Empire on Twitter because we could pop up at any moment's notice. We go where the story is. We cover everything in college football, but we go where the story is. And there are two stories that popped today. One in regards to the Pac-12 emerging possible TV partner. And then FSU. We got to talk more about Florida State. So, welcome in. First of all, before all the new people into the show, we first do a monologue, then we take your comments, and then we take your phone calls. Okay? That's how we do it here at Peek Around the Corner. I do have to get off the air in an hour and a half. Maybe we pop on tonight if further developments happen in these stories and others. But for now, this live show is going to last about an hour and a half, shorter than our normal shows. But it's the best we can do here at Peek Around the Corner. But I thought it was important that we hit this story now because, well, both of them are quite interesting the FSU one. Okay, first of all, let's get to, we are very fortunate to have a sponsor for our live show. Welcome to Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. We invite you to discover the Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters difference. Clean air roasted. Coffee produces a smoother, richer, healthier coffee that is less bitter and less acidic. Our hot air roasted coffee uses convection heat to loft the beans for a very even heat transfer. The clean, bright taste that people rave about is achieved by roasting the bean quickly and evenly while suspended on a bed of hot air. From craft to cup, hand-picked coffee beans. There's a link in the description box below the video if you want to give this coffee a try. It's the best I've ever had. It's the best my wife, the little general, has ever had. So give it a try. And if you do, if you go to the website through the link, if you want to support this channel, put PATC in the comments section while you're ordering the coffee. It is the best there is. Thank you so much, the Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters, for sponsoring our today's show. One other thing. Before we get to all this very interesting news, I might be saying the word cloak and dagger a few times. It's the afternoon, so drink responsibly. Drink that coffee, drink that tea, drink that orange juice. Whatever you got in that mug, please drink it responsibly. All right. And there will be a time, hopefully in the next couple months, where the first merchandise we're going to have at PATC is the mug that you can put your favorite beverage into. A mug that will have our emblem on it, or whatever you want to call it, our logo. So stay tuned for that. It'll be our first merchandise up on the merchandise store here at YouTube. Okay, we got some big stories to get to. First of all, CCA, thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate it. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner, this completely independent college football channel. There are no strings attached. Thank you, CCA. I look forward to your analysis every day. I look forward to you coming into the chat room every single time. Yes, the PATC Cloak and Dagger mugs. Give it a little bit of time. We've just decided on the style of it. So the design of it. Okay, let's get into it. We got so much to cover. Holy cow. I don't even know what story to do first. Well, let's talk about the Pac. Apple TV has not made a formal offer for Pac-12's media rights, according to Brett McMurphy, but Ion Television has emerged as a potential Pac-12 partner, sources told Action Network headquarters. Ion TV is owned by EW Scripps Company, which has 61 local TV stations nationwide and launched Scripps Sports this year. So first of all, the first part about this, Apple TV has not made a formal offer yet. And we're sitting here at February 24th. Ray Anderson, Arizona State Athletic Director, in an interview yesterday, in an article that was printed, basically said we got 2 to 3 weeks left. 2 to 3 weeks, we got to get this deal. Apple TV was reported by SBJ as an emerging potential partner, media partner of the Pac-12, and that they were going to offer it soon to George Kliavkoff, their offer. But according to Brett McMurphy, Apple still has not made the formal offer. Now, there's probably a whole lot of informal talks going back and forth, right? I really believe that a Washington and Oregon, Utah, probably some other schools in the Pac-12, maybe all of them, will not want all of their content in with Apple TV, and maybe that's a no-go for Apple TV. Maybe they want it all like they do with MLS. I do not know. We have no intel on it. But Apple TV still has not made the formal offer. Interesting. But Ion Television has emerged as a potential Pac-12 partner. So we have another media partner, potential media partner, that's emerging 2 to 3 weeks out from, I would call it the official line drawn in the sand. Right? Ion TV. I gotta tell you, I've run across them a couple times. Emerging as a potential Pac-12 partner at February 24th, you know that there's some other media companies, not just CBS and Turner, have taken a step back. For this stuff to be happening on February 24th, other media companies have taken a step back. Like ESPN, for one. I mean, hopefully for the Pac-12 schools, they are a part of this deal. They need ESPN to be a part of this deal. Somewhere, somehow, ESPN has to cover some of the tier 1, some of the top Pac-12 football games and basketball games. ESPN has to be a part of this, in my opinion. Again, agree, disagree, put in the comment section. Give us a call after the monologue is over. The phone lines are not open yet. This, to me, is just another bucket of cold water on what is going on in the Pac-12 and their negotiations. I do want to bring up, however, somebody here on Twitter, an Andrew Hobner, Pac-12 Prep Sports and News from CBS Sacramento. I want to bring up his analysis. Just give me 1 second here. On the surface, this read as completely idiotic. This is Andrew Hobner, Sacramento CBS, commenting from Brett McMurphy's tweet that Apple TV has not made a formal offer, but Ion Television has emerged as a potential Pac-12 partner. On the surface, this reads as completely idiotic. But as someone who has researched Scripps sports rights acquisition strategy pretty heavily, I think this would be rather intriguing. So basically, this is Andrew Hobner. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name. So basically, Scripps is looking to fill... I'm sorry. Let me get to the... Yeah. So basically, Scripps is looking to fill the void that may be left by regional sports networks. RSNs are dying on the vine right now, and Scripps sees a leverage play with their local affiliates. So Scripps thinks they can do to Ion what NBC is doing to USA. Interesting. And making a rerun-heavy channel for sports content. They would then farm out some lower tier rights down to their local affiliates. Say Utah plays Arizona State on a Friday night, and there's no national college football in that window. Well, there probably will be. But anyways, Scripps owns the Fox affiliate on Utah. It won't show or register nationally, but Scripps could put it over the air provided there isn't a pre-existing contract with 20th Century. I tell you, that sounds horrible. Um, we continue. At the absolute best, ION exists on cable and streaming for national games, and you may locally expand your reach by getting Tier 2 games, men's basketball, women's basketball, or even others occasionally over the air on your local ABC, Fox, and CBS. At worst, well, ... That's all to say this is hardly foolproof. Script doesn't have any affiliated presence in the Pacific Northwest. So over-the-air opportunities will be really limited there. Well, I don't know what to say, ladies and gentlemen. Additionally, how much will local affiliates play ball on losing programming windows with network shows to Pac-12 sports? Zero chance it works out. But at the very least, I think it's interesting given Script's strategy on sports moving forward. I find it innovative. Here's an article for those who want to learn more. Andrew Haubner. So go to his Twitter account at H_G_Haubner. That's HAUBNER. I enjoy reading that. He's putting out some information there. It doesn't sound good, even with a positive spin. And he's trying to be down the middle. It says it's interesting from a Scripps point of view why they would pursue Pac-12. But if they are truly emerging as a potential Pac-12 partner, again, Brett McMurphy Action Network, and I'm keying on the word emerging again, emerging, then we've got some issues. To be honest with you, we've got some serious issues going on in the Pac-12 negotiations. Okay, so we'll put that aside for now. I'll read your comments on it, get your phone calls on it. But what do Pac-12 fans think about ION? What do the others think about it? Why are they emerging at this late time? Quite extraordinary. Now, let's get to FSU. FSU. Matt Baker, Tampa Bay Times, he tweets out, and we'll go through the article. Florida State Athletic Director Michael Alford having an interesting talk to the Board of Trustees. He says the Noles contribute roughly 15% of the ACC media rights value, but get 7% of the distributions. Then Matt Baker tweets out, Alford, at the end of the day, if something's not done, we cannot be 30 million behind every year compared to our peers. And then Matt Baker put out an article. We're going to go through it real quick. It's a short one. He's going to update it sounds like. Florida State Athletic Director. Something has to change with ACC for Noles to win big. A trustee asked how much would it cost for the Seminoles to leave the ACC. Matt Baker. Florida State's Board of Trustees meeting sounded like a series of warning shots to the ACC. Fix the revenue gap or else. At the end of the day, for Florida State to compete nationally, something has to change going forward, Seminoles Athletic Director Mike Alford said. By Alford's numbers, Florida State contributes roughly 15% of the value in the ACC media rights deal, but the Seminoles get 7% of the distributions as one of the 14 full members of the conference. That has caused a massive revenue gap between Florida State and other big-name programs from Power 5 conferences. As Alford outlined in Friday's meeting, the gap between what Florida State is set to make from the ACC and what teams from the SEC and the Big Ten will make is roughly $30 million a year. Alford said he and other Florida State administrators are in deep discussions. Deep discussions. We got about how to close that gap until the ACC's current media rights deal expires in 2036. Alford says Florida State will look at windows if conference realignment significantly affects the Pac-12, for example. Alford said Florida State will look at windows if conference realignment significantly affects the Pac-12, for example. One possibility would be for the ACC to begin weighing its conference payouts towards programs that have more success or are larger brands. I'm telling you, that's not a solution, but we'll continue. We'll get back to that in a second. Then the conversations got really interesting. One trustee asked about a possible buyout figure if FSU wanted to leave the ACC. One trustee asked the question, and I gotta tell you, well, you know what? I'm gonna put it this way. When the trustee asked the question, in my opinion, I'm gonna put it as allegedly, he knew the answer. Anyways, the athletic director answers roughly $120 million. If FSU could make up $30 million per year, the trustee asked, does that mean Seminoles would break even in about 4 years? Hypothetically, Alford said. This story will be updated. Okay. All right. I got to hit on this. I'm gonna have to go back a step here. For those who've been with us from the very beginning, this is going to be old news. So, but please be patient. We have so many new people coming onto our channel. I have to give them the background on all this. BTM and his associates. If you don't know who BTM and Associates are, go to Flug Empire's pinned tweet. You read about them. The Los Angeles Times did an article on us breaking the USC Big Ten story back in March 31st. BTM and his associates got a phone call December 4th from a Florida State money perch. Again, if you don't know what that is, go to the pinned tweet at Flug Empire. The money perch said a person from Tallahassee gave us information, and then we got a phone call on December 11th. We got a phone call on December 26th. We were going to go live with the story, okay? And it was titled, if you go to my Twitter account, if you go back to December 26th at about 2 o'clock Central Time, maybe 3 o'clock, I think it was 2 o'clock, we advertised the show. We're going to go live with the Florida State money perch. We got breaking news. And then people found out what we knew, and we found out what other people knew. We were asked to stand down on the story. We stood down on the story. And ever since then, we said here at Peek Around the Corner, when the time is right, we will go deep diving into the story. We're not going to be the ones that break the story. The story had then just a few days ago, Pete Thamel put out there, he talked about how the ACC grant of rights, the amended one, isn't out there in public. You have to go basically into a vault. This is everything we said prior. Remember? For weeks we said this. You cannot find the real grant of rights ACC out there in the public. I know people think they have it. They don't. They don't. Lawyers have come in and out of there looking at it, and there is a disagreement on whether they can break it or not. Pete Thamel said that. We've said it prior. Also, Pete Thamel said it would take a lead person, one school to do it, and then others would follow. We have told you previously to the Pete Thamel article that it wouldn't be done by collusion. There would be no coordination among the schools if they were to challenge the Gore. The breaking story will be the following. Will there be a school that challenges the grant of rights? Will there be? What date? And how will they do it? The story has ripened to cover those aspects of it. But we're not going to break it here today. Someone else will. And then we're going to give you our deep dive on it. And if no one breaks it in a certain amount of time, then we'll go out and do it. But this is a story that other people have, as it's obvious now for everybody to see. But the story isn't quite there yet. We could give you some information, but we're not going to do it because I've given my word on it. Now, this is how do I say it? This is not, first of all, the whole unequal revenue sharing plan that they're going to try to do to try to give to schools that are more successful or a larger brand. I don't know how they're going to come up with that, but that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And we don't even think, peek around the corner, that anybody believes it's going to work. But they're going to go through the motions. They're going to go through the motions. It's not going to work. It's not going to close the $30 million gap. The pie isn't big enough. The pie isn't big enough. Give Florida State 10% more. It's still not going to work. Year after year after 13 years of being $30 million behind, and it's more than that because the Big Ten is going to go up for bid once again 6 years before the ACC will. And I'm gonna add this to it. I see stories out there. I see there's great people are speculating on this. But I just want to, number one, there is no coordination among the schools. And number two, is ESPN is not helping in this endeavor from Florida State or whoever else in the ACC. That has to come into decision whether they're going to challenge this. ESPN is not helping. They're not in the room. They're not discussing. They don't own the grant of rights. The ACC does. So I hear this, people send me stuff, and I love that you all send me stuff. Keep sending it to me. But I keep telling people in the DMs because there's people in message boards and chat rooms saying, well, ESPN is going to do this for Florida State. ESPN is going to do this for North Carolina. ESPN isn't going to do nothing for nobody. Okay? If a school successfully, or if a school even pulls the trigger on challenging the grant of rights that the ACC owns, ESPN isn't part of the equation. It's going to either be won or lost on the merits of what that grant of rights is and what it said in the extended, when they extended it for 2027, 2036. There's a hint for you. And that's it. That's all I got on that. Again, I want your comments and your phone calls. Let's get to your comments real quick. Again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified of when we come on, because we can come on at any time. We also do some episodes during the week, 3 or 4 episodes. Smash that like button. It helps us with the algorithms of YouTube so much. If you want to contribute to the channel, we do not have YouTube memberships. We do not have all that other stuff. We just take donations, and we thank you so very much here at Peek Around the Corner. Let's get to it. 2 big stories. Talk about whatever you want. Jay says, I can't drink this early. Don't drink this early. Do not drink this early. Drink your Diet Coke. Drink your Mountain Dew. Drink your coffee. Drink your tea. But it's Friday, Greg. Energy drink. Jeff Olson. Ryan Martin. That's amazing. Energy drink. Mr. Badger's in the house. Mr. Olson. Pac is not dead, but it's G5 bound. Pac Conference is not going to lose their Power 5. Not going to lose it, at least until 2026 at the very worst. Matthew Farmer, tell us what the Pac leaders are thinking. Man. Ryan Madsen says, I drink every time. You say Sky Yuma as well. Has to be Cloak and Dagger coffee this early. Opie, yes. Get your Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters coffee. Grateful Trojan, it's 10:30 in a.m. out here, Greg. Coffee, Cloak and Dagger. Cornelius Green, the Pac-12 is on life support. West Virginia guy, rest in peace, Pac-12. Matthew Farmer, I thought Apple was going to get the media rights. Who woke up this morning? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you woke up this morning and you thought that Brett McMurphy was going to tweet out the following. Apple TV has not made a formal offer for Pac-12's media rights, but Ion Television has emerged as a potential Pac-12 partner. I know I didn't think it. Holy smokes. Wild Ute is in the house. Mr. Utah man. It's sad this Ion report is legit and not a joke. What is going on? That's a great question. I mean, to be going on, for this to happen February 24th, for this report to come out, right after Ray Anderson says we got about 2 or 3 weeks left. I'm paraphrasing that a little bit, but essentially, that's what he says. By the way, if you listen to Ray, that Ray Anderson article, when you read it, but then when you listen to the interview, there's a different tone to what Ray Anderson said. I mean, it was more negative than what the words said when you read the article. So give it a listen. Ray Anderson, Arizona Sports. I don't remember what radio program it was. KDU, MeTV is next. West Virginia guy, nobody will watch football in Ion. Ryan Martin, ESPN will get late slot games one way or the other. Monty Show said the Pac hasn't spoke to ESPN in weeks. Pac-12 has to get ESPN on board. If they're lowballing you, take the deal. Get $10 million, $12 million a year for each Pac-12 school through ESPN and try to get your 15, 16, 17, whatever million from a streaming partner. But you got to get ESPN. At this point, you have to get ESPN. Cornelius Green, Wilner had an interview on KSL radio last night. He said the payout for each team in the Pac-12 is expected to be in the 20s, in the $20 million. Wilner also said, I'm paraphrasing it, but you can listen to that interview. He also said, and something to the effect of no one should have expected for them to make more than the Big 12. Something to those words, which was absolutely incorrect. Wilner himself said the Pac-12 was going to make between 33 and 37 million per school. And I don't blame him for saying that, but you have to, a lot of people say, You have to say, oops, my bad. I got it wrong because the market dried up on the Pac-12. Pac-12 bet on the wrong horse. The Big 12 bet on the right horse to get the deal done early. You have to come out and say it. You have to come out and say it. But that gentleman did not come out and say it. He said no one should have expected this. I mean, you shouldn't have expected the Pac-12 to make more money than the Big 12 schools per year. Yeah. Lewis, no Pacific Northwest. Ion's not in the Pacific Northwest, and they're an emerging candidate. And you know Brett McMurphy. I say this over and over again. You guys know how much I love Brett McMurphy. No coverage in the Pacific Northwest or limited coverage in the Pacific Northwest. Scripps wants to expand in the Pacific Northwest. That's cool. That's great. I can see it from their point of view. Scripps, I applaud you. Get in the game. Get it out there. Get it that you're negotiating with the Pac-12. But Brett McMurphy said emerging, which means there's a little bit of a path there. It means, you know what it means, guys and gals? It means the Pac-12 doesn't have anything right now. Apple TV hasn't made the offer. We got reports from SBJ that if it is Amazon and ESPN, that's a combo deal. They're weeks away from that. It probably has to do because ESPN stepped away. Amazon stepped away. They got 2 to 3 weeks left on this. And then the story takes a different road. It does. Tony, yes. Ion is in the Twin Cities, ladies and gentlemen. I know I run it across a couple times every once in a while. So, Minnesota Golden Gophers to the Pac-12. You heard it here first at Peek Around the Corner. Man, oh man. Ion is not available in Denver. Coach Prime will lose it. Thanks for coming into the house, D-Gart. Well, you know, Scripps, they're trying to get into the Denver market. They figure if they get the deal or some slice of the deal, if they get like 8, 10 games, a couple basketball games, whatever, that the Denver market will clamor to get Ion. That's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do. I can't imagine the Pac-12 presidents and athletic directors will sign on for Ion to get any part of the deal. But then again, if they're emerging as a potential partner, what are they offering? They're not offering exposure, not from the beginning. So they must be offering money. Ion must be willing to want to bet on the Pac-12 content, and maybe they're putting out an offer, a lot of money per whatever content they would get, right? Mandel just tweeted saying Ion is not involved in the Pac-12 TV negotiations. Okay? Heisman 57, Mr. Hawkeye. I suppose other media outlets under consideration are the Game Show Network, Hallmark Channel, and QVC. Big Ten doesn't want Florida State, in my opinion. SEC looks more likely. I would have to disagree with you, Mr. Farmer. I think both SEC and the Big Ten would want Florida State. Florida State is definitely will be a target for the Big Ten if and when they ever become available. Big Ten will target Florida State. Can you, hopefully I make that clear. Lewis unequal revenue sharing is coming to the ACC, and a few years later, the top brands will leave. The Athletic is saying Ion isn't involved in the Pac-12 negotiations. So people are coming out saying that Brett McMurphy, if it weren't McMurphy, I think someone was spreading this as a joke. Is FSU and AAU? No, they're not. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. AAU does not hold the veto pen of who gets invited to the Big Ten. Just not. AAU is a private organization, large research, important universities that meet a certain criteria that the AAU has for admittance, but they do not hold the veto for invitation into the Big Ten. Michigan State was not AAU when they entered the conference. Jim Delaney said we'll look at AAU first, but not only. Kevin Warren said don't need AAU status. He just said that 6 or 7 months ago. It's important. It's important to be like-minded in the Big Ten. It's important to be a research university. There will be some exceptions. Notre Dame is an exception. Florida State is an emerging research university. Florida State, if they were available today, the Big Ten would pursue them, and them not having AAU status would not affect it at all. Son of Sarah, cloak and dagger by Big Ten, spreading rumors they would take FSU. They hope SEC takes FSU so Big Ten can take North Carolina and Virginia. Mandel publishes in the Athletic. Yeah, Mandel and the Athletic are the same thing. Tu Mazda not involved currently. So what is Mandel saying? That I tell you, it doesn't even matter. So Mandel is saying that that currently. Well, let me look it up. Let me look it up. What he's saying. Okay, let's get to your comments. I'll keep searching. Rebecca Mandel versus McMurphy accuracy is battle. Okay. Stuart Mandel says Ion Scripps Sports is not involved in the Pac-12's TV negotiations. A source with direct knowledge of the situation tells The Athletic. Terry Nord, Aloysius Himalacious, Connotacious. Gophers men's basketball, highest recruit in 20 years, is decommitting. 7-footer from California. When does Gopher football spring practice start? I didn't even see that. What is going on? No! Well, I'm getting a lot of DMs, direct messages. Ions out, ions in, ions out. It's not ion in, it's woo. Anyways, we talked about this at Peek Around the Corner. Where there is a vacuum, stuff is going to fill it. Kliavkoff, get this deal done. Get it now. Rebecca said Ion honestly would have been strange. More cloak and dagger. Who gave this information to Brett McMurphy? West Virginia guy says Pac-12 propaganda is Mandel. I'm not going to say that. He does have a little bit of love for the Pac-12, as Brett McMurphy and others have love for former Big 12 universities. But I think I don't think that they're getting that in the way of their reporting. So, Gophers lost their big-time basketball commit. The worst basketball program in the country in Power 5, and they just had a top 11 decommit on them. Top 11 player in the nation. Holy smokes. Rebecca says, the longer this goes, the stranger the media partners will get rumors. But they don't really report on rumors. Brett McMurphy is as good as you can get. As good as you can get. So, we'll see what happens with this story. Maybe they talked and maybe they're not pursuing it anymore. Or maybe they are late pursuers and other people don't. Whoever gave that information to Mandel doesn't have the complete story. We don't know yet, but we're going to cover it. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're covering that, and we're covering the FSU situation. We also can go back to the lines of last night. College football. Right? They got the FanDuel lines for week 1, 2, 3, 4 early in the season. TCU minus 17.5. Nebraska minus 6.5 over Colorado. Alabama 8.5 favored over Texas. Bama beat Texas by 1 in Texas last year. This year they're going down to Tuscaloosa. Texas A&M, Miami of Florida. Both teams hit the iceberg last year. Texas A&M, early line, months away from the game, minus 4.5. I would take the Hurricanes in that game. Iowa minus 3 over the Cyclones. Cyclones defeated Iowa last year. Now they're going to Ames. Tennessee, Florida, Gainesville. Florida lost another coach. They lost their wide receiver coach. They've lost 3 position coaches, 3 coaches on their staffs here recently. They've got Graham Mertz as their starting quarterback to start the season. There's a lot of things wrong with the Gators football program going into 2023. The Washington Huskies, my pick to win it all, the Pac-12, 10.5 point favorites at Michigan State. I take the Huskies. I saw my Gophers blow out the Spartans at Michigan State last year. I don't see any improvement for Michigan State going into 2023. I think Mel Tucker, I think that program I think it's in trouble. It's in decline. Pittsburgh, West Virginia, I love the Mountaineers, but I'd take the Panthers right now. +1, I would take them. I want to know who West Virginia is starting as their quarterback, Garrett Green or Nico Marchio. I would go with Marchio, but I think they're going to go with Green at the start of the season. Florida State, +3 against Clemson. The Seminoles are my pick. Not only my pick to win the ACC, but my pick to go to the 4-team invitational playoffs. So I take the Seminoles here, +3 right off the bat. The Buckeyes versus the Irish. Sam Hartman, can he do it for the Irish this year? Transfer from Wake Forest, USC, Notre Dame. USC's an early -3. So Notre Dame is the underdog in 2 of their home games. Penn State Nittany Lions +8 against the Buckeyes. I love Penn State this year. Running back Allen and Singleton, dynamic in the backfield. We're gonna know soon in this season. We're gonna watch for Drew Aller. It's finally his time to lead the team. A promising quarterback, 5-star kid, finally gets his shot. We'll know soon. We're going to watch him in the spring game. We'll see what he has. Kansas State -3.5. The defending reigning Big 12 champions against Kansas. Kansas State only -3.5 favorite because of the great job that Lance Leopold has done there in Lawrence, Kansas. The Buckeyes +1 against the Wolverines. The game, November 25th. Michigan has won that game 2 years in a row, has won the Big Ten championship 2 years in a row. They've gone to the college football playoffs 2 years in a row, and they've lost the first round games in the playoffs 2 years in a row. So if you want to talk about those games and others, let me know. Get back to your comments. Let's open up the phone lines. Let's open up the phone lines. Finally. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Talk about the Pac-12 negotiations. Ion, maybe it's not true. Talk about Florida State's, the athletic director. They're putting numbers out there. It would take $120 million to settle the fee when it comes to getting out of the ACC bylaws, but that would not take care of the grant of rights. That would not take care of the grant of rights. However, is Florida State, are they getting ready to challenge? Are they getting ready to challenge? Will they challenge you in the next year?
Call from
Larry in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yes, sir. I didn't catch your name.
Larry.
Larry, nice for you to call. The floor is yours, sir.
Hey, thank you.
Yep.
I follow you on Twitter. I'm TLG Strategies,
okay.
And I've been watching a lot of this. Pac-12 conversation,
Yes,
and
sir.
so now I'm concerned that we have conflicting reports from two respected journalists, Stuart Mandel and Brett McMurphy.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure who to believe.
It might be a case of both of them are correct. That word emerging, that's the term that Sports Business Journal Andrew Michon used when he was talking about how Apple TV is an emerging potential partner. So maybe this is a late steam type of thing where it just happened and Brett McMurphy got wind of it and put it out there, and Stuart Mandel's source doesn't know about it, or Ion dropped out, said forget about it weeks ago, months ago, and Brett McMurphy's got bad information. But it could be where they're both kind of sort of right. We do not know at this point.
I mean, what are the options for the Pac-12 at this point? I mean, the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah,
I mean, they have to be on linear TV. I mean, I don't think that's an option. I don't think you can't get away from that. I mean, just to go all stream at this point, and arguably the Pac is one of the weaker Power 5 conferences. I mean, between Big 12, SEC, and Big 10 all having linear TV deals. I mean, it just seems that if the Pac goes with all streaming, it's not going to survive. I mean, they might get the money up front, but the product's going to deteriorate because recruits don't want to go there. They want to be on linear TV where their family and friends can see them every Saturday rather than paying for a whole new subscription to stream them on a phone.
Yeah. I agree with you. They've got to get on. If there's nothing else available, they got to get on ESPN. They've got to do it so ESPN will talk about it. Just like you said, the student athletes, their parents, their families, their loved ones. They know that they're going to be on ESPN once in a while. You got to get ESPN in on this deal.
At the very least, I mean, if you're going to do a stream, I mean, you might as well go Pluto TV or like Roku or like somewhere where you can develop an app or you can get on the TV.
Yeah.
You have to be on the TV.
Yeah. Even if it's, even if it's just one game a week, whatever, get on. There's no question, if you believe the words, and I do, of Sports Business Journal, Andrew Michon and John Aron, they said this does not look good, this looks horrible, ESPN is lukewarm, they'll take it, but they don't really, they'll take it, but they don't need it. I don't care how much ESPN is lowballing you, George Kliakoff. I don't care how much, you got to have ESPN as part of it. And then go crazy on your streaming. Have them overpay you a little bit. You're not going to get very good exposure, in my opinion. Sounds like your opinion. Whatever you do, though, you got to get ESPN as part of your media package. You have to. Else you're going to get buried. You're not going to survive.
I mean, even on any linear TV channel on cable at this point, like you see English Premier League, they're on USA Network. Even A10 basketball, they're on USA Network. I would like to think that USA Network, with no football on there, might have an appetite for some college football when they got professional soccer and they got college basketball on a mid-major level.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, you got to talk to everybody.
Yeah. USA Today. And we haven't heard any reports that they backed away from negotiations. We did hear Turner did, but we haven't heard USA Today, NBC type of back away yet.
Yeah, USA Network. Yeah. I mean, that to me just seems like you got to get on some cable network. I don't care at this point in time. I don't care what channel it is. Spike TV. I mean, you're desperate at this point.
Yeah. Got to get on. No question.
Got to.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate the call. Call again, sir.
Will do.
All righty. Thank you, Eisman57, Mr. Hawkeye. Greg taking Purdy less Cyclones against my Cade McNamara-led Hawkeyes. Thanks, Cooler. Boo. Boo. No! It's not going to be Greg the Cooler in 2023. Don't you understand this, Eisman? It's not going to be Greg the Cooler. It's going to be Greg the Heater. Look out. Thank you so much for your super chat. Appreciate your friendship and your continued support for this channel. Appreciate it so very much. Ryan Thomas, breaking news. Pac-12 and the Weather Channel are close to a deal. Also, QVC is also in the running for the digital component. Thank you, Ryan, once again for your generosity. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. Let's get back to your comments, questions, phone calls. Kenneth says Texas is the only great Big 12 school, and they're leaving after this year. There's a lot of good, great Big 12 schools, just like everywhere across the country. Gavin Stutler, Ion is a local TV broadcaster that owns 71 stations. You can get them with rabbit ears for free. Excellent call, Larry. Yeah, great call, Larry. Please call again. If you don't call again, that's my loss, Larry. Please call again, sir. So, there seems to be contradicting statements reporting from Brett McMurphy and from from Mandel, going back and forth. We'll just see what happens with that story. And of course, we got the Florida State situation. Michael Alford having an interesting talk to the Board of Trustees. This happened today. He says the Noles contribute roughly 15% of the ACC media rights value, but get 7% of the distributions. Alford also says at the end of the day, if something's not done, we cannot be 30 million behind every year compared to our peers. Matt Baker wrote this, Tampa Bay Times, Florida State athletic director. Something has to change. At the end of the day, for Florida State to compete nationally, something has to change going forward. Massive revenue gap. This is going to be a story. And again, we went into it just a touch on December 26th. This is going to be a story that's going to be played out in the spring, in the summer. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be giving you what we've got, but we're not going to be the ones that are going to be breaking this story like we broke USC to the Big Ten. We've made a promise on that, but we're going to give you little drops of information along the way. So stick with this, Peek Around the Corner. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, and share the video with your family and friends.
Call from
Lewis.
Lewis, thanks for calling, sir. The floor is yours.
I thought today was April Fool's Day when I read Brett McMurphy's tweet. I legitimately had to look at the calendar and see that it was February the 26th and not April 1st. But
Yeah.
Brett McMurphy, having followed realignment as a West Virginia fan, they've been involved in every realignment back to the early for 20-some years. McMurphy's always been pretty accurate. He's not just making this up out of thin air. So unless someone hacked his account, then there has to be something to it. They're perhaps not involved, but there had to be some kind of communication. Now, if there's any thought at all about getting to this, it really looks bad for the Pac-12. It's almost like, you're searching for a dance partner before the dance is about to end. They know their time's about up. So it reiterates that the Pac-12 has to get this done, but I don't think they can get it done because Washington and Oregon are in no hurry to sign a grant of rights. They know that they have potential options, and they're in no hurry to bring this to an end. I don't believe, and so you'd like to see it end, but until it ends, this will continue. It's just stunning to think about it, that a network such as Ion could get involved, but it sounds as if the Pac-12 is in no position to turn away comers. So a very unfortunate situation for the Pac-12. It's really bad news. I've been through it. Now, West Virginia at one point in the realignment in 2012 was told they were not going to the ACC or the SEC. It looked like West Virginia was going to be stuck out of a power conference, and they recovered. So maybe the Pac-12 recovers. This is a pretty big blow. And I know you're not going to talk about the grant of rights, but it is inevitable. Sooner or later, the ACC teams are going to leave that conference. I hope Duke finds a way out of it, but it's eventually going to happen. I just see it being years from now, but in the meantime, this discussion out of FSU, you're just going to hear more and more of this over the next few years. Great show. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks,
Do you want
Lewis.
to say something?
Yeah, I just want to
day.
say something because you're an incredible caller. I thank you so much for calling. I'll just throw this out there. The story is more than Florida State. I'm not going to throw other schools in there right now. I'm only saying Florida State because on December 26th, that's how I titled my show, and it got out there. And then someone informed me that other people had this story and that I should stand down. I stood down. So that's why I can bring up Florida State, on this show, because but it's more than just Florida State. I'm going to put that out there because you're a great caller, and that I'm just going to leave it as that. Okay?
Well, I was wondering, but at times, of course, graduated from Duke, and from my standpoint, Duke's kind of a wobbler on this as far as if it does break up, whether they would end up in the have-nots or end up moving up. Other schools are certain to move up. North Carolina's strong. Florida State's strong. Clemson, unless Clemson's football goes downhill the next few years, they're going to be somewhere. Other schools, Miami, Virginia, Duke, are a little more iffy. Then you have some schools such as Boston College and Wake Forest that kind of are like Washington State and Oregon State now. Yeah. But this will eventually happen. But if you talk to anybody in the ACC now, they're all confident somehow they're going to pull a rabbit out of the hat when the time comes. I just don't see it when it comes to Florida State and these other schools. Some of them are going to want to get their fair share, and it's just a tough situation. But they're locked in. Yeah. They are locked in for at least a few more years. And the ACC is a good conference, but they're going to have to figure out something. But that's a topic for another day. Yep. And we will talk again. And so, hey, keep you in business, Greg, because after the Pac-12 ends, then we can start thinking about what happens with the ACC. Yeah. All right, have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Great call. Thank you. Tony, great. Good story about the Gopher hockey attendance, and the Star-Tribune says Gopher fans are finally accepting the Big Ten as a hockey conference. I guess they're finally getting there, but really it really has to do with this hockey team, right? I mean, this is it. Now, come on. It's time to win another national championship. This is ridiculous. Gophers have got to bring it home this year. You are the state of hockey. You produce most of the college hockey players. You've got now 6 Division I teams. Minnesota teams keep winning the national championship. Minnesota, Duluth. But this is it. This is it. You are the gold standard of college hockey. You are the program that makes the most money in all of college hockey. And it's not even close. It's time to win it. It's time to win it again. Let's go, Gophers. That's why they're coming. Gophers got a fantastic team. They got to do it this year. If they don't, I will be crying here at Peek Around the Corner.
Call from
Rebecca. Go Huskies.
Rebecca is in the house. The floor is yours.
Well, hi there, Greg. How's the storm going today?
Everything's going good. Everything's going good.
I mean, you guys may need to send some of those plows to the San Jose area, because I guess they got snow in the suburbs out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Wow, what a crazy day today.
Yes.
Right?
Every day's crazy in college football.
Oh, I'm the Florida State news. I'm I think everybody kind of knew Florida State was they're disgruntled, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
To everybody and the no, I'm not. Ion, I don't know. That makes no sense. I didn't even know they were doing sports. I had to Google that after I read that.
Yeah.
I was no. I mean, the only good thing is it takes care of the exposure because everybody can get it. That's the only good thing. I would be stupidly annoyed by that. But anyway. No, I'm just it's what we already said, right? Yeah. I think we talked about it last night. The more this goes on, the stranger this is getting, and the more pressing it's going to get. I'm not going to say either Stuart Mandel or Brett McMurphy are lying. Neither one is lying. They most likely each have a different source.
Yep.
And, The Athletic published this article, a week ago, I want to say. Was that a week ago or 2 weeks ago that they published that article with all the disgruntledness?
All these dates run together. It was maybe a week ago. Yeah.
There we go. But, they both have, and, Brett McMurphy, a lot of Pac-12 folks are like, well, he went to Oklahoma State. Brett McMurphy's fairly middle, and obviously, if I was an alumni of Oklahoma State, I might be a little more critical of certain things in that conference. But I hold Wilner and them do make their thing. When it catches guys like Wilner and them who really are in tune and have actual sources in the athletics departments in the Pac-12, and it's not just at Cal or Stanford with Wilner since he's in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
It caught them off guard. They're like, wait, what? So maybe I'm in the thought process that Ion probably approached it at the beginning, and then something happened and it dropped out. But the question now is who leaked that and why did it leak? And that's the question we have to ask ourselves: is who is leaking the worst parts of this talk now? We know Arizona State's disgruntled.
Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. I'm going to repeat that. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Continue on. Sorry,
it's the middle
Rebecca.
of the day. No, you're good. It's a good thing it's the middle of the day, though. I can't do stuff because I'm technically working.
It doesn't have to be alcohol. I'm just.
Nope. No, we're drinking the coffee right now.
Yeah,
I'm coffee.
There's so much stuff that goes on in the background with all this.
Yeah. And I know people are dogging the Pac-12 right now, and it's the fun thing to do, and I get it. And as fans, we're me, I'm taking it in stride now because I'm like, what else can you do?
Yeah.
It's a crap show. It's a crap show. There's no else around it. Until they get a deal. And I'm a fan of Washington, so it makes it even harder because it's we might be the one in the driver's seat. Well, technically we are.
You are in the driver's seat.
The chair of the committee is the school president. But, Oregon and Washington really do drive everything at this point since they're the two most valuable brands amongst the Pac-12 and really including the Big 12. But, they might have options, but at this point, I think if Washington and Oregon were to go somewhere, they would have already done it. Or if this deal does come through, which again, part of the reason why it might get delayed, for those not understanding, the Pac-12 Executive Committee Chair Director is the Washington president. So she is right there with Kliavkoff in the discussions.
Yeah.
So it is completely and utterly possible that Washington, and I'm saying this because I don't know the truth. I have friends. I used to work in the athletic department of Washington, so I still have friends there. So I get little details here and there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know anybody in the president's office. Yeah. So I can't tell you how that's going. But I can guesstimate that it might be dragging because Washington and or Oregon are nope, we want this. So but man, just get a deal at this point. I'm so frustrated with it. Yeah. I'm very chill though. I'm staying chill. I'm staying calm, but I'm let's make our decision known now so that we can do whatever we need to do in a year or 2 years or however it is. I would also say this. I think if Washington and Oregon reached out to the Big 12, they definitely, that 99 year whatever, Big 12 fans, it's they're not going to sign that. They're probably not going to sign anything with teeth in the Pac-12. What makes you think they're going to go to the Big 12 or even the ACC and sign something with teeth? I don't see it happening. I could see the ACC approaching ESPN to keep Florida State happy at this point, but it would just be as short term as possible. Say they did add, let's say the ACC did add Washington and an Oregon and maybe a Stanford or a Cal or an Arizona State, whoever, right? Greg, do you think that would be enough to keep Florida State happy, or basically they're already talking about being $40 million behind?
They're There is no solution for Florida State. There is nothing. You all know how I feel about the unequal revenue sharing plan that the ACC is going to try to come up with. It's not going to work. But, and I kind of have the idea that they know it's not going to work. Florida State know it's not going to work. It's not going to get implemented the way they want it to be implemented. The pie isn't even big enough. You give a little bit to Florida State, it still isn't going to make a dent. And those other schools are not going to give away too much anyways. And then they're going to throw other metrics into the whole pot, right? They're going to have basketball success. That's going to get thrown in there. They're going to have women's basketball. They're going to have volleyball. They're going to have academics. And pretty soon, the payouts for all this unequal revenue sharing is going to be somewhat flat anyways. That's what's going to happen.
Yep. I mean, it's a short-term solution with a long-term problem.
Yep. It's not even a
That's
solution.
why I'm like, it's not. That's why I'm like, even if Washington and Oregon are like, we want to be at 40 million, let's say, right? And then that puts the other schools that say and I'm saying if everybody got the same amount of money at 30 million, right? They all want to be at 40 million. So now you're going to get the other schools to commit to get to 25 million so that Washington, it's might keep you happy, but I mean, they're still going to have wandering eyes.
They're in the whole Washington to Oregon, and I'll end your call here, Rebecca, because I'm running out of time. But
no,
the
you're
whole
good. I will bounce out. And I'll listen to
thank you.
Live.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate it. The whole Washington to Oregon going to the Big 12 and they get 115, 125% is just bogus. That's not going to happen. Big 12 is not going to do that. If Washington and Oregon wants to become Big 12 members, and if they become Big 12 members, and I don't think that's going to happen, then they will get what the Big 12 schools get. They're not going to get any more, any less. Maybe the 99-year thing gets thrown out for all the schools.
Call from
Ryan Martin.
Ryan Martin, thanks for your call. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. How you doing today?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Oh, it's a Friday.
Yeah, it is.
And for a lunchtime show, man, this is awesome.
Yes. We had to do it.
So, I wanted to address a point that Rebecca brought up in her last call. And I'm broke because I just had to pay my mortgage today, and I couldn't do a super chat, so I figured I'd just try and sneak a call in. The membership agreement for the Big 12 is not as big of an obstacle as people want to make it out to be. We have had 6 teams leave. All of them have paid an average of less than a full year's worth of media distributions to leave. Yes, the big numbers are big and scary, but we have seen 6 times now teams negotiate and settle for less than half of that value. The only teams that have paid more than half of that value are Texas and Oklahoma, who also had to pay to make Fox whole as part of their grant of rights. So they had to make a payment to cover the games that they were going to have to buy out from Fox, right?
Yeah.
So if Oregon and Washington leave the Pac, come to the Big 12, and they end up sticking around, or they end up getting an invitation to the Big 10, we've seen it 6 times now. We negotiate a buyout fee, less than half of the value, and typically they take less distribution money from the Big 10 or SEC, wherever they end up going, and that covers the cost of their buyout. They take a reduced portion, and they're joining the conference they're joining pays that fee up front. And so their media portions pay that back over time. it's just not as big of an obstacle as people think it is, especially if you're going to make a jump to one of the big two.
Yeah, you are correct, sir. Not a huge obstacle.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not a huge obstacle. It might be something that Oregon, again, I don't think they're joining the Big 12, but I think it's something that maybe Oregon and Washington negotiate away before they enter the conference. But if they don't, yes, it's not a huge thing. Yeah.
And even then, I don't even think the Big 12. I don't think the Big 12 would even necessarily force them to do that or capitulate to that, I guess is the better way to put that.
Ooh, those bylaws.
We've always settled.
Those bylaws.
Why do we need? Huh?
Those bylaws. Everybody has to really sign on to those bylaws.
Yeah, everybody has to.
Yeah.
And they're like, we've negotiated and settled every other exit. Why wouldn't we do the same for you? Especially because all of the more valuable schools, the Oklahoma States, the Baylors, the Kansas States, the Kansases, they want to have that option available to themselves. They want, in some way, Kansas very plainly, obviously, wants to go to the Big Ten. Oklahoma State wants to follow OU and Texas into the SEC. They're not going to close doors that they themselves want to go out through. They're not going to, screw you guys. You decided to come and now you want to leave? Fuck it. You have to pay,
Yep.
Screw it. You have to pay the full buyout fee now.
Yep.
No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to set a precedent that makes it harder for themselves to leave. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised because the whole 99-year membership agreement is a relic of OU trying to keep Texas from screwing over the conference anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to, or I won't say they're going to, but I would not be shocked if the membership agreement gets amended in some way to make it less difficult to leave. There's no real reason for it anymore. Right now we have unanimity of just about everything in the conference. Romeo, hush. Sorry, my dog's being loud.
Yeah, no problem.
So
I love dogs. So if a dog barks, no problem with this show. Go ahead.
So it's just one of those things that it's not as big of an obstacle as people think, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
So
thank you, sir.
Well, you all have a good rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the call.
Bye.
I'm just trying to get confirmation on something here. Okay, so Brett McMurphy's tweet. Brett McMurphy's tweet, Apple still has not made formal offer for Pac-12's media rights, but Ion Television has emerged as a potential Pac-12 partner, sources told Action Network headquarters. Ion TV is owned by EW Scripps Company, which has 61 local TV stations nationwide and launched Scripps Sports this year. This report has been refuted by Stuart Mandel of The Athletic. I can tell you now, as of 1:54 p.m. Central Time, 2:54 p.m. Eastern Time, that this tweet has not been deleted, has not been altered Brett McMurphy has not put up a follow-up tweet. It's been viewed 1.3 million times. 1.3 million times. 400 comments. Retweeted, easier for you to say, retweeted 1,221 times. Viewed 1.3 million times. And Brett McMurphy hasn't changed it. So, I've got a feeling that that there's some truth to this tweet, and maybe there's some truth to Mandel. Maybe it's a timing issue on their reporting, or maybe it's not. But this tweet that Brett McMurphy has up has not been deleted. He hasn't put up a follow-up. He hasn't said, oops, my bad. And he would, but he hasn't done it. Viewed 1.3 million times. At the time I posted this, it was viewed 186,000 times. 1.3 million times. So we'll see. We'll see. But Jared Jones, thank you once again for your continuous generosity to the show. College football's peak around the corner. Got you covered, Ryan Martin. Great call. It was a great call, Ryan, like always. Great show as always, Greg. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. Another Buckeye in the house. Jared Jones and Monavision. There's other Buckeyes swarming. Unfortunately, we're going to have to close it up. This is a short 1.5 hour live show for this afternoon. I got to pick up the wife. She works at the hospital. I got to pick up the little general. So we'll see what happens. We probably won't go on tonight. Probably not. But we'll see what happens. I did get a few comments in the comments section about where is that Big Ten nugget. We got a little bit of a nugget, pretty interesting nugget. It does kind of affect this other stuff we've been talking about. We'll talk about it here, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. Got to stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. If you're new to the show, if you're new to the channel, you have to subscribe to the channel to get notified, because we can pop up at any time, anywhere. We go where the story goes here at Peek Around the Corner. Thank you for all your donations, all your comments, wonderful phone calls. This is the best college football community there is. PATC. Until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, and next time could be really, really soon. Take care of each other. Thank you so very much.